Casey Gray here from The Conscious Builder, and we're back with another Q&A. Today's question comes from Trevor Wisley, and he's asking, or not really asking, he's saying that he's surprised that our passive house wasn't net zero. So he's talking about the passive house that we built for ourselves about 8 years ago now. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit because this is something that people need to understand. We need to understand where all of the energy is going to. So in that case, I'll do a quick summary. That house was a certified passive house. Our insulation levels were R30 below the slab. We had R73.5 walls, R100 in the attic. We had an air tightness of 0.54, if I remember correctly. We were extremely efficient home, and we had a solar system on the roof, and we weren't net zero. And what's the reason for that? Well, for one, we only had a 10 kilowatt system on the roof. Fairly large house. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on. Plus, we added an electric car to it, which adds a lot of electricity to it. We weren't producing as much electricity as we were using. Now, could we have added more solar panels? Yes. In that case, though, we were part of the microfit program. So we were getting paid for the energy that we were producing as opposed to just offsetting our electrical bill. So we maxed out at 10 kilowatts. We couldn't put any more on that house as part of that system. We would have had to put a separate array on there. I don't know how we would have been able to wire that up, but we could have been net zero because we had more than enough roof space. We could have made that house completely net zero if that was our intention in that case. But it wasn't. Now, if you're designing your house, how do you go to net zero? Now, a net zero ready home, for example, which is something else I want to talk about, isn't necessarily going to be net zero ready because it depends on how you live in the home. Because a home that has 2 people in it versus 5 people in it, the same exact home, is going to have very different energy consumption. Somebody who's doing laundry for their grandkids or the whole neighborhood is going to use a lot more energy than the house who's not doing it, even if they're designed the same. A house that maintains a temperature of 18 degrees because they like to save energy versus a house that maintains a temperature of 24 degrees because they want to be sweating all the time, it's going to have very different energy too. So it's partly how the house is built, but a bigger part is how the occupants live in the house. Do they have an electric car? Do they plug in they have 5 people that all have iPads and phones and laptops and so forth. The 2 biggest energy consumptions are going to be hot water and heating and cooling. But after that, we get into plug loads. What are you plugging into your system? So when we work with our clients, you really want to model properly. You also don't want to oversize your system because then you're going to be overproducing, which means you overpaid for your system. So it might even make sense a lot of the times is to move into your house, live in it for a year, see how well it works, see how much energy you actually use, and then do your solar system. Or add your solar system with the idea to add on to it later. So these are all, every house is going to be a little bit different. The performance of the house is going to be one aspect of it, but the other side of it is how do you live in the house? What do you do? How are you using the electricity? So thank you so much for the question, Trevor. If any of the viewers here have questions, please post them in the comments below, like the video. We really appreciate it. We love answering questions. And until next time, remember to live consciously.